Hey everyone, today we're going to do a little taste test actually. We're going to do it between something you probably had and something you haven't had before. And maybe actually some of you did have one of these before and well, it's been a while because it's been a while. First we have Coca-Cola in this new smaller 7.5 ounce can compared to the original 12 ounce can that we used to get back in the day, probably not even that long ago. So Coca-Cola and New Coke. Now New Coke was reissued in a special release recently for the premiere of Stranger Things Season 3. I thought I would get a hold of a can of this and see if it really is as bad as people used to say or as sweet as people used to say. I don't really remember this taste that well. I just remember it being very different than Coca-Cola. Now I'm not a huge Coke person myself, but you know, I do think there's something very interesting about the fact that this product was completely replaced on the market with this one because of testing they'd done, and they thought that this would be a better product. Now that this is on the market, at least in limited quantity, I thought it'd be interesting to see how it compares to the original. So here's Coca-Cola, the new Coke I should say. Okay, that's how this pours out. Let's see how Coca-Cola pours. I guess on the surface, these look to be completely the same. They fizzle the same, they have about as many bubbles, and they're about the same color, if not exactly the same color. I can faintly smell Coca-Cola here, and you know, New Coke does have a slightly different smell than Coca-Cola. You probably would guess it's Coke, but it sort of tastes like a bubbly, I don't know, like a slightly sweeter version, but at the same time a little bit flat. Like, you know, if you've ever had like a flat Coke, it tastes a little like that. Oh, this one has a little bit more punch to it. It's a little more punch to the taste of it. Yeah, I mean, it's kind of weird. It tastes like a little bit more towards like a Diet Coke taste or Coke Zero taste. It's a reformulation, but it's not to the point that side by side you're like, whoa, night and day. They taste pretty close to one another. I would say there's something that says this one just feels like it's a little bit more joyful to taste. The fizz in your mouth is probably a little bit better in Coca-Cola versus Coke Classic. These are otherwise the same. So if anybody tells you that Coke, New Coke, is radically different than Coca-Cola, it could certainly be in the way it's formulated, but not really in the way that it tastes, and definitely not the way it looks, and slightly in the way it smells. But yeah, that's it. So if you get a chance to, see if you can pick up a Coke can of the New Coke and try it for yourself and see if you think that it's a wildly different taste than I do. For me, this is basically the same. I'm not crying because New Coke isn't around anymore. I think Coca-Cola Classic is just fine. I think New Coke is just fine. And I don't really see too much of a difference without being really snobby about it. Is New Coke better or worse than regular Coke, than Coca-Cola Classic? Or are we dealing with exactly the same thing or just slightly the same thing to you? Does it even matter to you that they have New Coke back out? That's it. So again, let me know what you think about Coke versus New Coke and if you have a preference for one or the other. And you know, there's comments below, and if you get a chance, of course, I would love for everybody here to like and subscribe to the channel. I'd love to hear what you have to say. So anyway, tune in next time. Thanks.